So after discussing the structure, operation and characteristics of a three-terminal BJT, now it is worthwhile to introduce another three-terminal device in our study, and that is junction field effect transistors. This is another kind of transistor only. Like BJT was a transistor, JFET or junction field effect transistor is another kind of transistor. So before leaping into the junction field effect transistors structure, operation and characteristics, let us try to have a top view upon the transistor family. What are the different types of transistors that are ever available broadly? So let us try to have a broad outlook on the categorization of the transistors. So transistors are basically broadly divided into two types. Those are the BJTs, which we have already discussed, bipolar junction transistors, and then another category is FETs, field effect transistors. So BJT can be a NPN BJT or a PNP BJT. So these are the different variants of a BJT only. So these BJT may be a NPN or a PNP BJT. So these are the variants of the BJT only. NPN and PNP are the variants of BJT, bipolar junction transistors. So FET now again can be subdivided into two types of FETs. One is JFET, that is junction field effect transistors, and another is MOSFET, which is metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistors. So MOSFET stands for metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor, whereas JFET stands for junction field effect transistors. So each JFET as well as MOSFET have two variants. A JFET can be a N-channel JFET, or it may be a P-channel JFET. A JFET may be a N-channel or a P-channel JFET. Like we have BJT of either NPN or PNP type, similarly JFET can be a N-channel JFET or a P-channel JFET. Now coming to the MOSFET, MOSFET are of two types. One is depletion type MOSFETs, and the other is enhancement type MOSFETs. Now each of the depletion as well as enhancement type MOSFETs have two variants of each. So a depletion type MOSFET may be a N-channel depletion type MOSFET or a P-channel depletion type MOSFET. So depletion type MOSFET may be either a N-channel depletion type MOSFET or a P-channel depletion type MOSFET. So these are the variants of depletion type MOSFET. And so goes with the enhancement type MOSFET also. So enhancement type MOSFET may be also either a N-channel or a P-channel. That means an enhancement type MOSFET may be either a N-channel enhancement type MOSFET or a P-type or P-channel enhancement type MOSFET. So this is the complete family of transistors in a broad manner. There are other types of transistors also, but that we are not getting those into our discussion, and in our context we will only confine ourselves with discussion on these transistors. So we will confine our discussion to structures, operation and characteristics of these transistors only. That is, we have already covered the BJTs. Now we are going to cover the JFETs, that is junction field effect transistors, and which is a one category of field effect transistors. So we are not going to discuss about the MOSFETs, and hence we are even not going to the depletion type or enhancement type MOSFETs discussion. So we have already discussed the 3-terminal device, which is BJT, and here we are going to discuss the junction FET, junction field effect transistor. So what is the basic difference between these two? Let us try to have a quick comparison between these 3-terminal devices. The BJT is a current control device. Why current control device? Because in BJTs the output current IC is a function of input current IB. So the controlled thing, that is the output current, is controlled by a input current. The controlling parameter is input current, which is IB in the case of BJT. So we say that BJT is a current controlled device. We already know that IC is equals to beta times IB. So this is output current and this is the input current. So output current is getting controlled by a input current. So that is why we say that BJT is a current controlled device. Whereas in the case of JFET, in the case of junction field effect transistor, the output current ID is controlled by a input voltage, and that is gate to source voltage. If this is G, the gate terminal, and this is source terminal, then VGS controls how much ID will flow through the FET. So that is why we say that JFET is a voltage controlled device. Now another difference between BJTs and FETs is that BJT transistor is a bipolar device. So during its operation, in the case of BJT, both electrons and holes participate in the injection process during the operation of the BJT. Whereas in the case of FET, depending upon whether this FET is N channel or P channel, only one of the charge carriers, either electrons or holes, participate in the operation, during the operation. If it is a N channel JFET, let's say if it's a N channel JFET, then in that case only the electrons are active during the operation of the JFET. So the current conduction is only due to the movement of electrons in N channel JFET. Similarly, for a P channel JFET, only the holes will be participating during the participate in the operation of the JFET. So that is why, whereas BJT, irrespective of whether it is NPN or PNP, electrons and holes both participate during the operation. But what we see in the case of FET, only one of the charge carriers, depending upon either N channel or P channel JFET it is, only one of the charge carriers participate in the operation of the FETs. So that's why we say that BJT is a bipolar device, whereas FET is a unipolar device. Both charge carriers are active during the operation, only one of the charge carriers is active during the operation. Now the next difference between FETs and BJTs is that FET has a input resistance far more than the input resistance of the BJT transistor configurations. So FETs will have a input resistance to around 1 mega ohm or more, whereas BJTs, the BJT transistor configurations will present a input impedance somewhat much lesser than this much of input resistance. BJT transistor configurations will have a lesser amount of input resistance. So this makes FET is a better choice for designing voltage amplifiers. So in terms of input resistance, FETs perform better, and that's why FETs serve as better voltage amplifiers. The next thing we can discuss about is BJT transistors are very sensitive to changes in the input signal. So they are very sensitive. Even a small change in input signal will result into a larger change at the output of the BJT circuit. Whereas in the case of FETs, they are not so sensitive. Even for a small change in the input signal, the change in output will be not as much as in the case of BJT for a similar input signal change. And this very characteristic, this very feature of the BJTs, the very high sensitivity to the change in input signal, this makes the BJT amplifiers to have a very high voltage gains as compared to the voltage gain that we get out of FET based amplifiers. Then next thing is, FETs are more temperature stable. Although FETs do not have high voltage gains, but they are very much temperature stable than the BJTs. And even construction wise, in terms of their physical dimensions, FETs are much smaller than the BJTs, making them particularly very useful in integrated circuits. Now let us discuss the construction of the junction field effect transistor, and that is JFET. So JFET is a 3-terminal device with one terminal capable of controlling the current between the other two. So the controlling terminal is the gate terminal. So the controlling terminal is the gate terminal, which can control the current between the drain and the source. So what is the direction of current, whether it is from drain to source or it is from source to drain, depends upon the what kind of JFET it is. So we can have two types of JFET. One is N-channel JFET, or we can have a P-channel JFET. So depending upon whether it is an N-channel JFET or a P-channel JFET, so it will depend on that whether the current is from drain to source or it is from source to drain. But anyway, there has to be some current between the drain and source terminals. So whatever is the current gets controlled by a voltage which is presented at the gate terminal with respect to the source. So if you see in this diagram, in this construction diagram, this is a presentation of the N-channel JFET. This is the N-channel JFET construction diagram. So if we understand this, the construction of N-channel JFET, then we can later very well guess out what changes do we make to the construction of this JFET to generalize for the P-channel JFET. So a N-channel JFET will comprise of a majority portion covered by a N-type semiconductor. So this portion is a N-type semiconductor, and this comprises the channel. This is called as the channel. This N-type semiconductor comprises the channel part of the JFET, and it covers most part of the JFET. If it is a N-channel JFET, the channel itself covers the most part of the JFET, and since it is a N-channel JFET, so the semiconductor which covers most of the part is N-type semiconductor. So at both ends of the channel, the N-type channel, we have ohmic contact, shown in black over here, a ohmic contact shown over here in black here also. So the ohmic contact over here. The upper ohmic contact gives us a terminal which is called drain terminal. The lower ohmic contact gives us the terminal which is called as the source terminal here. Now there are two embedded p-type layers, p-type semiconductor layers. A p-type layer is here, a p-type layer is over here, and they are connected, they are mutually connected. Both the p-type semiconductor layers are mutually connected to each other, and from this connection we take out a terminal which we call it the gate terminal. So when there is no potential applied anywhere, so we have in that situation two PN junctions. One PN junction over here at the edge of the p-type material, and another PN junction at the edge of this p-type material transiting from p to n-type. So in this construction diagram we can spot two PN junctions. One PN junction over here, because this is a p-type semiconductor and this is n-type channel, so there is a PN junction over here, and again we have a p-type semiconductor over here and we have n-channel here, n-type semiconductor to comprise the channel, so we have a PN junction over here, and this portion comprises the depletion region. We already know that depletion region at the PN junction is that part or that region of the PN junction which is devoid of any charge carriers. So even in the absence of any potential, any external potential applied to any terminal, there exists depletion region at the two PN junctions. So this is all about the construction of a n-channel JFET. So in the case when we talk of p-channel JFET, if it were a p-type JFET, then the channel would have been a p-type channel, and these two embedded semiconductor layers would have been n-type materials. In that case, the two embedded layers would have been n-type layers. So this would have comprised the p-channel JFET. So in a p-channel JFET, the channel will be of p-type semiconductor, and the two embedded layers which give out the gate terminal must be of n-type semiconductors. So this is all about the construction of the n-channel JFET and the p-channel JFET. It is significant here why the nomenclature drain and source has been used and why the nomenclature gate has been used. So basically we'll see one common thing, irrespective of whether it is a p-channel JFET or n-channel JFET, we'll see that whatever is the charge carriers. So in a n-channel JFET, the charge carriers will be electrons. For an n-channel, the charge carriers will be electrons, whereas for p-channel JFET, the charge carriers will be holes. So depending upon which kind of JFET we are taking, in the channel there will be a movement of the charge carriers, and we'll see that depending upon how much potential is applied at the gate, the charge carriers will move from source to drain. Gate is the terminal which is providing us with the control. By controlling the gate, we are trying to control the movement of the charge carriers from source to the drain. So something is coming out from the source and it is going to the drain, and that something is nothing but the charge carriers. So the source is a point from which the charge carriers will move towards the drain, and so it sounds very intuitive to name these terminals the way they are defined. So source, we name a terminal source because the charge carriers will move from this point, so it is the source. So then we have a drain terminal, that means whatever is coming from source will move towards the drain. So what will move towards the drain? The charge carriers. So the question is, how much of the charge carriers will move from source to drain? That is getting controlled by something, some parameter, some electrical parameter at the gate, and that electrical parameter is some voltage potential. So this is how the nomenclature has been framed for the JFET, junction field effect transistor. Now coming to the JFET operation, the complete operation of the JFET can be understood by studying the two cases of biasing the JFET, and the biasing is based on the fact that since if we are taking the case of n-channel JFET for demonstration, the electrons are the charge carriers. The electrons are the charge carriers because it's a n-type channel in consideration when we have a n-channel JFET. So electrons are to move from source to drain. If electrons has to move from source to drain, if electrons have to move from source to drain, then definitely so the direction of the conventional current is from drain to source, and to support such a current we need to have a VDS polarity of this sort. VDS should be of this polarity. So we'll study two cases in order to understand the complete operation of JFET. The first case being VDS is positive and VGS equals to 0. So this is the first case we will see to understand the operation of the JFET, and we are taking the case of n-channel JFET. And in case 2 we will see the case when VGS is negative and VDS is still positive. So by studying these two cases we will be very clear about how the JFET operates. So we will see it with an n-channel JFET, and later we can generalize it to p-channel JFET. So let us watch a video taken from YouTube which will demonstrate these two cases, which will clarify the complete operation of the JFET, taking the demonstration with a n-channel JFET.
So first of all, let us assume that this gate and the source terminals are connected together. So as you can see over here, the source terminal is connected to the ground and the gate and the source terminals are connected together. Now here, in case of this n-channel JFET, the voltage between this drain and the source terminal should be positive. So here, let's say this voltage VDD is applied between this drain and the source terminal. So this voltage VDS should be positive. That means the drain terminal should be more positive than this source terminal. So now once we apply this voltage, then the electrons starts flowing from the source terminal to the drain terminal. And if we see the conventional current, then the current starts flowing from the drain terminal towards the source terminal. So here, let's say ID is the current which is flowing into the drain terminal, and the IS is the current which is flowing out of the source terminal. And as you can see, this current ID is equal to IS. So instead of defining these two currents as a separate current, we will only define this drain current ID. So now considering this VGS is equal to 0 and this VDS is positive, let's see how this n-channel JFET works. So whenever this VDS is positive, then these two PN junctions will become reverse biased. And due to this reverse bias connection, the width of the depletion region will increase. Now if you notice over here, the depletion region is wider at the top of this p-type region and it is narrower at the bottom of this p-type region. So first of all, let us understand the reason behind it. Now during the operation, this n-channel acts like a resistor, and let's assume the uniform resistance throughout this n-channel. So this n-channel can be modeled as series of distributed resistors between the drain and the source terminal. And whenever this drain current ID flows, then there will be a voltage drop across each resistor. So let's say the voltage at the top end is equal to 2 volt. And as we move towards the source terminal, then there will be a voltage drop across each resistor. And due to that, the upper region of the p-type material will be more reverse biased compared to the lower region. And as we had seen in the earlier videos, as we increase the applied reverse bias voltage, the width of the depletion region will increase. So due to that, the depletion region is wider at the top portion and it is narrower at the bottom portion. So in short, due to the applied voltage VDS, these two PN junctions will become reverse biased, and due to that, only a small amount of reverse saturation current will flow through this PN junction. And for the practical cases, we can consider that the current Ig through this gate terminal is equal to 0. So due to these reverse bias PN junctions, the input impedance of this JFET is very high. So now, as we increase this voltage VDS from 0 to few volts, then the current which is flowing through the channel will increase. And if we plot this current ID versus VDS, then initially it will almost look like a straight line. So this curve of ID versus VDS is known as the output characteristic of this JFET, or sometimes it is also known as the drain curves for the JFET. So as you can see, for the low voltages, this curve is almost straight line, meaning that for the low voltages, the resistance of the channel remains constant. But if we keep on increasing this voltage VDS, then the width of the depletion region will become wider, and due to that, the channel will become narrower and narrower. So due to this reduced channel width, now the channel resistance will increase, and that is also evident from the graph. So if you see this region of the graph, the slope of the line changes and it becomes more and more horizontal. So basically it indicates that as we increase the voltage VDS, then the channel resistance will increase. And now if we further increase the voltage VDS, then at one particular voltage, the two depletion regions will touch each other. So this condition is known as the pinch-off condition. And the voltage at which this occurs is known as the pinch-off voltage. So let's denote this pinch-off voltage as Vp. So whenever this VDS is greater than or equal to Vp, then this pinch-off condition will occur. So as the name pinch-off suggests, once this condition occurs, then the current ID should drop to the 0, because now there is no path for the charge carriers to flow from this side towards this side. But in reality, if you see, that is not the case, and in fact once the pinch-off condition is reached, the current ID reaches the saturation level. So let us understand why it is so. So first of all, let us assume that once the pinch-off condition is reached, then this current ID is equal to 0. So if that is the case, then the absence of the drain current would remove the possibility of the different potential levels across this N channel. And due to that, the reverse bias across the PN junction would be removed. And that would result in the loss of depletion region, which caused the pinch-off at the first place. So basically, this current ID will not become 0. And in fact, at the pinch-off condition, this current ID is the maximum current. So this saturation current is denoted as IDSS. And IDSS is the maximum current of the JFET whenever the VGS is equal to 0 and VDS is more than pinch-off voltage. So whenever this VDS is more than this pinch of voltage, then the current which is flowing through the device is almost constant. And in this region of operation, the JFET works as a constant current source. So basically, under this region of operation, we will get a constant current through this device. Now, so far in our discussion, we have assumed that the voltage VGS is equal to 0. But as discussed earlier, this gate to source voltage can control this drain current. So now let's see how the voltage level of VGS can control the drain current, or in a way, how it can affect the drain curves or the output characteristic of this JFET. So now what we will do, we will make this VGS more and more negative with respect to 0 volt. And we will find the drain currents for the different values of VGS. So first, let us assume that the VGS is equal to -1 volt. So due to this negative voltage now, the depletion region will get created across this PN junction. And as we keep on increasing this voltage VDS between the drain and the source terminal, then the width of the depletion region will increase. But now the pinch off condition or the saturation of the drain current will be reached at the lower voltage of VDS, because due to this negative voltage of VGS, the PN junction is already reverse biased. So in case of a VGS is equal to -1 volt, if we see the drain curve, then it will look like this. So as you can see, at VGS is equal to -1 volt, the saturation value of the drain current has been reduced. And in fact, it will continuously reduce once we reduce the value of VGS below this 0 volt. So as you can see, if we reduce the value of VGS from -1 to -2 volt, then further this saturation value of the drain current will reduce. And whenever this VGS is equal to -Vp, then the saturation current will essentially become 0. So this region of operation is known as the cutoff region of operation. Or we can say that whenever this VGS is equal to -Vp, at that time the device is turned off. So in this way, this JFET can be operated in the 3 different regions: the ohmic region, the saturation region and the cutoff region. So in this ohmic region, the JFET will work as a resistor, and for the fixed value of VGS, it provides almost constant resistance. But as we reduce the value of this VGS, then the resistance of the channel will increase. So basically in this region, the JFET can be operated as a variable resistor, and by changing the voltage between the gate and the source terminal, we can control the resistance of this JFET. Then the second region of operation is the saturation region. So in this region, whenever this drain to source voltage or VDS is more than this pinch of voltage Vp, at that time the drain current will almost remains constant. And the third region of operation is the cutoff region. So whenever this VGS is greater than or equal to Vp, at that time this drain current ID will be approximately equal to 0. And we can say that the device is turned off. So apart from these 3 regions, there is one more region, and it is known as the breakdown region. And like a diode, this region of operation should be avoided. So in this saturation region of operation, if we increase this voltage VDS beyond certain limit, then there is a vertical rise in this drain current, or we can say that the breakdown has been occurred. And now the current is limited solely by the external circuit. So generally in the datasheet, the maximum value of the VDS has been defined. So during the operation, the value of this VDS should be less than this rated value. So this is all about the output characteristics or the drain curves of the JFET. Now so far in our discussion, we have only discussed about the N-channel JFET, but the P-channel JFET also works in the similar way. So in case of this P-channel JFET, the channel is made up of P-type semiconductor, and the 2 small N-type of regions are fabricated near this channel. And in case of a P-channel JFET, now the polarity of the biasing voltage is also reversed. So now in case of this P-channel JFET, the drain to source voltage should be negative and the gate to source voltage should be positive. Apart from that, in case of this P-channel JFET, now the charge carriers will be holes. And when we apply the voltage between the drain and the source terminal, then they will start moving from the source towards the drain terminal. So now if we see the ID versus VDS curve or the output characteristic of the P-channel JFET, then it will look quite similar to the N-channel JFET. But in this case, this voltage VDS is negative. That means if you see the voltages on this horizontal axis, they will be negative. So now in case of this P-channel JFET, as we increase the voltage VGS, then the saturation value of the drain current will reduce. And whenever this VGS is equal to VP or the pinch off voltage, then the drain current ID will be approximately equal to 0 ampere. And similar to the N-channel JFET, there is also a breakdown region in case of this P-channel JFET. That means if we go beyond the certain value of this voltage VDS, then the drain current will increase drastically. So this is all about the output characteristic of this P-channel JFET. Alright, so now let's see the electronic symbol of this N-channel as well as the P-channel JFET. So these are the symbols of the N-channel and the P-channel JFET. And if you see these symbols, it has a 3 terminals, the gate, drain and the source terminal. And in fact, if you see these two symbols, they almost looks identical. But the only difference between the two symbols is the direction of the arrow. So in case of a N-channel JFET, the arrow is going inwards, while in case of a P-channel JFET, the arrow is going outwards. And basically, this arrow indicates the direction of the flow of current whenever the PN junction is forward biased. So in case of a P-channel JFET, whenever the PN junction is forward biased, then the current will flow in the outward direction. While in case of a N-channel JFET, whenever the PN junction is forward biased, then the current will flow in the inward direction. And apart from this symbol, sometimes this symbol is also used for the N-channel as well as the P-channel JFET.